What a beautiful day to be lazy. Now, wait a minute. OMG! I need to do a case study for ethics. What to do? Oh, oh, what if I listen to a podcast about it instead? Hey guys, welcome to our channel where we dive deep into the drama of a Reddit community, Am I the Asshole? Or commonly known as r slash AITA, where every day people ask, Am I the asshole? And try to give them the clarity or roasting they deserve. And today's story? That's certainly juicy, with family secrets, hidden kids, and a brewing tension between a husband and a wife. Now, before we get into it, let me first introduce our partners for today. Could you say hi, guys, or leave a bit of a comment for our dear listeners?
This is Andrea speaking, a partner you may or may not remember from our program's last episode. I hope everyone had a good time last time, and it's truly good to be back again here with you guys. Yay!
Hey, how are you all doing? I'm Ken, and your partner for this episode. You may know me as the singer of the viral song Silence on TikTok, and I am looking forward to this discussion since I'm also a casual listener myself.
Oh wow, we have some big names here. I am Kuin, your resident writer for anything hot in the entertainment industry. I'm also very excited for this episode as I heard that it's a lot more juicy than the other eps. Before we begin, for all our new viewers tuning in, you might be wondering, what's our AITA all about? AITA, or Am I the Asshole, is a subreddit where people post real-life moral dilemmas and ask the internet to judge them. The responses range from You're the Asshole, YTA, to Not the Asshole, NTA. Everyone sucks here, ESH, or even No Assholes Here, NAH. The purpose of this podcast is to weigh in with our own thoughts and talk it out amicably like buddies.
Do keep in mind, everyone, that we're not here to cancel anyone, okay? We're not into that trend. Our group's main objective here, like Wayne mentioned, is to explore the complexity of the moral questions between different posters, reflect on their behaviors, and maybe also relate these dilemmas to our own lives. So grab yourself some popcorn and a drink because it's going to be a long discussion.
Am I the asshole for telling my parents my brother had a child outside his marriage?
The original poster, or OP for that matter, has a brother. This very brother tried to offer her husband a business idea multiple times. This meant months or even years of rejection after rejection before finally getting lucky and striking a deal with him. Now, this is where the real story begins. All of them didn't know that this was the start of something ominous. OP shares that her husband has this habit of doing extensive background checks before he goes into business with anyone. It was omitted towards the end that he's hiring someone to do this for him. Maybe Sherlock Holmes? Okay, that was a joke. Anyways, that's exactly what he did with her brother, and what he found wasn't something anyone was prepared for. It turns out that OP's brother has a daughter, a child he had outside of his current marriage. A child that until now, no one in the family even knew existed. Upon finding this out, OP's husband warns her not to say anything and tells her to keep this discovery between the two of them. And of course, OP does the exact opposite of being quiet because she immediately shared the news with her parents.
Oh wow, this is the very definition of why family secrets are not really a secret. It's often just a matter of who finds out first.
Haha, you might be onto something there, Andrea. Secrets don't stay buried for long, especially in families like that.
Her parents are shocked, to say the least. They wasted no time and immediately confronted her brother about it. The secret, which had been hidden for years, was now out of the bag. And here's the unexpected part. His wife already knew. She wasn't kept in the dark as they imagined she would. OP's sister-in-law has been part of the secret from the very start. This, as you can imagine, further shocks everyone. As it turns out, she found out about the child some time ago, but instead of welcoming her, she gave OP's brother an ultimatum. Either he leaves the child out of their lives or she walks away. That's why no one ever knew. OP's brother chose to keep things quiet in order to protect his marriage, but now that the truth is out, things are no longer that simple. OP's parents want to meet their granddaughter, But with the wife's threat still standing, OP's brother refuses to give them any information that could lead to the child. He's trying to keep the peace, but it's not working. OP wants to meet her niece, too. So much so that she tells her husband she'll reach out to the person he uses for background checks if he won't help her. This, of course, leads to arguments between them. Meanwhile, her brother blames her for the drama, saying she might have just ruined his marriage. Still, OP doesn't believe she's the villain in this story. After all, she never expected it to explode like this. Oh boy, we're only getting started and the heat is on already. Well then, what do you guys think? Is OP the asshole?
Oh my god. This is honestly a lot to take in, to the point that OP's life could be part of a Mexican teledrama our aunties and mothers enjoy.
Haha, you might be onto something there, Andrea. Secrets don't stay buried for long, especially in families like that.
Okay, now kidding aside, I'm gonna say not the a-hole. Yes, I know it wasn't technically your secret to tell, but come on. The child was being erased from the family. You can just sit and do nothing. Sometimes you have to look beyond the adult drama and think about the kid's right to be acknowledged.
I get that, and honestly, I admire the intention. But still, OP knew exactly how volatile this situation was. Her husband even warned her. So she could have gone a gentler route like quietly supporting the child or even talking to her brother in private first. Instead, she chose the one path guaranteed to cause a family drama.
You hit the nail on the head, Ken. Sorry to OP in advance, but let's be real. She shared something deeply personal, and that wasn't hers to share. Her brother's marriage was already fragile, and now she's the reason it might fail apart. Was it worth it? Yes, the child deserves a place in the family, but so does her brother's privacy. She created more harm than help, to be honest.
I actually see both sides. I get why OP spoke up. It's hard to carry something that big, especially when it's about family. But at the same time, I don't think it was her place. She probably just wanted to be honest, but that honesty brought a lot of pain. Now everyone's involved and there's a child stuck in the middle. For me, truth matters, but so does timing and knowing when to hold space instead of speaking out. In this case, silence might have caused less damage.
I feel that secrets like this never stay hidden forever. But maybe that's the point. It's not just if the truth comes out, but actually how. OP took control of a story that wasn't hers. Now she's trying to dig deeper, even if it means going behind her husband's back. That's not just reckless, it's straight up invasive.
I mean, so what then? Just wait until the girl grows up and find out her whole family pretended she didn't exist? I mean, that's not right either. Morality isn't always convenient. Sometimes doing what's right doesn't come with perfect timing.
True, but maybe doing what's right also means understanding the damage your choices might cause. You can fight for justice and forget pakikipagkapwa in the process.
This one's tough. As we know, secrets this big don't stay hidden forever. So, to all our listeners, what do you think? Was OP brave, reckless, or both? And what would you have done?
Okay, before we jump into the next segment, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Base Audio. Base just dropped their newest product line built to deliver premium sound for every kind of listener. So whether you're tuning in for deep convos, vibing with your playlists, or zoning out with lofi beats, Base has a sound quality to match your every mood.
Am I the asshole for telling off my husband's friends for constantly mocking him? Our poster, a 39-year-old woman, shares that her husband has a group of longtime friends she's never quite liked. One of the main reasons? Her husband always seems to be the punchline. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're gaming, it's you idiot or you're trash. If he talks about their kids, it turns into jokes about his forehead, his hair, or his nose. And when it comes to his looks, the comments aren't any better. Last weekend, her husband invited a few of them over. Like always, the jokes started again. Same tone, same target. But the difference this time is that OP couldn't hold it in. Right in the middle of their banter, she finally bursted and said, "That's not funny." And of course, to everyone's shock, the room went quiet. OP's husband and his friends turned to look at her and had this kind of unexplainable look on their faces.
Oops, I could already tell how awkward it must have been.
Wow, props to OP for having the guts to do that. I could never imagine doing it midway.
Right? OP must have a heck of a mental fortitude for that. Now, continuing on, OP followed up by saying she doesn't like how her husband was always the one getting picked on. By doing this, she was expecting that maybe, just maybe, it was time they stopped and realized that they are going too far. Later that night, her husband told her, I didn't ask you to do that. Now she's left wondering if she spoke up at the wrong time or crossed the line a little bit too far. Oh, and yeah, there was also a disclaimer OP added later on in the comments. She mentioned that both she and her husband are black, while his friend group are a mix of black and white guys. And yep, that wraps up the second story. Oh dear, this is one tough problem OP got.
I couldn't agree more. Because of that, I think I need a little bit more time from our listeners since OP's story is honestly complicated. I think we could all agree, especially that it overlaps with a bunch of our beliefs, like when it comes to siding with your friends and siding with the persons that's only concerned for your well being.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I think I have an idea here already. I personally think OP did nothing wrong. Like, think of it this way. Who wouldn't be hurt hearing their partners be belittled, especially by people who are supposed to be your so-called friends? Even if those comments were quote-unquote just jokes, over time it becomes some sort of internalized negativity in their group dynamics. OP spoke up trying to set boundaries for her husbands, and her friends could have been a little more understanding about how their jokes could have affected him.
Okay, I think I already have my verdict. As we all know, there are some things you just won't understand if you're not part of a friend group's dynamic. I understand OP's concern, as it's not hearing your loved one be the butt of the jokes, especially when it sounds harsh from the outside. So I completely agree with Ken on that part. However, instead of talking to her husband privately first, she jumped in and publicly called out the group, which likely made things worse. And on the other hand, the prince do seem to take things too far, especially with jokes about appearances and profanities overdosing a simple video game. In short, everyone could have handled it better. Her husband should be honest if the jokes bother him. The prince should be more respectful, and OP should consult her husband before stepping in. So I'd say everyone sucks here.
Mm-hmm. I see your point, Andrea, especially with the dynamics and all, but let me just say that OP is not the asshole here. Like, imagine sitting there while your person gets roasted every single time you hang out. Nah, that stuff affects you over time. If you keep hearing negative things, even as jokes, they can start to sting deep. So I'm totally on OP's side with this one.
Yep, I'm with Leah on this one too. Her husband might have been embarrassed, sure, but come on, this was all about love. She saw him taking hits over and over and just couldn't stay quiet anymore. And honestly, that takes guts. People don't always realize how those repeated jokes can wear someone down. Her speaking up, that wasn't crossing a line, it was drawing one.
That's the thing. Sometimes drawing a line looks rude from the outside, but it's actually the most caring thing you can do.
I mean, that's a fair point. But I hope that her husband sees that even if the delivery wasn't perfect, it just came from wanting to protect him. Additionally, the comments made by the prince about his appearance, especially when it came to the discussion about his child, were quite concerning. I checked the comments below the post, and that's where I found out people pointing out that the jokes might be rooted in something deeper, like microaggressions. But then again, it's possible that we and the commenters might just be overthinking things and reading too much into the lines.
Now, that's an interesting thing to factor into because it shifts the discussion into an entirely different territory.
Wonderfully said, guys, and that's a wrap. That ends the two AITA Reddit posts of today. But of course, this isn't the end because we still have our programs, Chill Time, where our partner casually have a chat about our segment. Basically, for our listeners, tuning in is a time for thoughts and reflection. So, with all the drama and debate out of the way, let's slow things down a bit. This is the part where we set aside all discussions and just talk about what really stuck with us. Honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the program since I get to take a breather from all that narration. But more than that, it's where we really get to reflect.
Okay, without further ado, I'll go first. So, what really stood out to me throughout this segment was how differently we all saw the situation, but not in a way that made anyone's takes feel wrong. Instead, it showed how each of us focus on different things. Some lead on logic, others on empathy, and a few tried to approach it diplomatically. And honestly, that made the discussion way more interesting. It kind of reminded me of those psychological tests we do for fun, like, the ones that ask, "What's the first thing you see in this image?" And at first they feel gimmicky, but this time I could really see how each perspective reflected something deeper about how we think. Our individual values, backgrounds, and what we're sensitive to, they all came through in the way we responded. And personally, I felt more connected to the first story. My mom has shared stories about her experience dealing with her father's other family, so the topic of a hidden child wasn't unfamiliar to me. And that shaped how I saw the situation, especially the part about the kid being caught in the middle. It made me more sensitive to how adults need to be careful with what burdens they place on their children.
As a frequent host here, for me, the stories we listened to reminded me that ethics isn't just about laws or big decisions, just like how everyone says it's not black and white. In the first case, I kept thinking, is telling the truth always right, even if it causes drama? I understand why OP felt the need to speak up, but it still made things messy. In the second one, I related more to the wife who stood up for her husband. Some people may think it's just teasing, but repeated jokes can hurt. I believe that sometimes ethics is more about care and kindness than strict rules.
Yeah, this made me see ethics as simply black and white. In the first story, people had totally different takes based on what they valued: more peace or fairness. Some said silence kept the family together. Others said truth gave the child her rightful place. I also noticed how our culture affects our views. Where I come from, keeping peace in the family often takes priority. But is that always right? The second story reminded me that even jokes can carry weight. Words shape how people see themselves.
Both stories show that ethics and morals aren't always about the evident right or wrong. It's about empathy and responsibility. One OP may have acted too rashly, while the other showed moral courage in a subtle but meaningful way. These cases reminded me that ethical decisions are rarely simple, but being thoughtful and considerate of others' well being always matters.
Thinking about ethics shows how your decisions affect more than just you. In everyday moments, what you say, when you step in, or when you let things go. Your personal ethics shape how you feel about others and how others feel about you. They influence whether people feel safe, respected, or ignored. At the same time, we don't always see the full picture. People leave things out, soften the truth, or just see things from their own point of view. So before reacting, it helps to pause and ask, what's missing? Who's affected? That's where personal ethics matters. Who do you treat with care? Do you think before acting? Could your choice make someone's day worse? Ethics matters because it keeps you accountable. Your choices carry weight even when you don't realize it.
Now, finally, before we end this segment, I'd like to give everyone time to say their goodbyes and maybe even drop a special little message for all those who stayed with us.
So, first of all, as always, I'd like to thank everyone, our hosts, writers, producers, and most importantly, our listeners for taking the time to tune in to this rather special episode of Am I the Asshole? It was really an honor to get to bond and have this discussion with everyone. And I hope some of you got to pick a lesson or two from today's segment.
Hey everyone, I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to be part of this program. Thank you to those who invited me. And I'd like also to take this moment to officially announce that my new album will be dropping later this week. If you ever find the time to listen, it'll mean the world to me.
Oh, wow! Congratulations, Ken! And to our listeners tuning in, make sure to follow his music.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I didn't know our program will be the first to receive this announcement, so congrats on your release, Ken.
Congratulations on another release, Ken. I'll make sure to drop by your studio sometime to show my support and maybe even interview you for a new article I'm working on. I really enjoyed today's episode. Cheers to more program episodes ahead.
That wraps up our discussion for today. If you have a story that raises ethical questions or tough personal dilemmas, feel free to send it over to aitaunpluggedpod at gmail.com. We'd love to feature it in a future episode. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, Behind every story is a lesson worth reflecting on. Until next time.